Just like that, we only have one ninja show left, Sasuke 40. But first, let's talk about the penultimate ninja show of 2022, Ninja Warrior Germany 7. So Ninja Warrior Germany 6, to me, was not just the best ninja TV show of 2021, bar none. It might be one of the best seasons of Ninja Warrior period of all time around the world in general. So coming into season 7, I knew it wasn't going to be as good as season 6. Sure enough, I was right. Season 6 is better than season 7. However, that doesn't mean it was a bad season. To break it down, they basically took, the shorter qualifier courses that are more geared towards speed and athleticism, and the upper body intensive semifinals course. You know how that's like the format for like ANW and Australia and every other ninja show? Like a shorter qualifier and then a longer semifinal. They swapped that entirely. So the qualifier was like 9 obstacles long, and the semifinal was only 5 obstacles long. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked that formula. I thought it allowed the qualifiers to have more obstacles that test a wider variety of skills and aren't just lache and running obstacles, which to me seems to be a lot of what qualifiers are. Was it weird to see obstacles like Eyeglass Alley on the qualifier course? Yes, but did it work because you were testing their endurance and then earlier their balance and their agility and their lache skill and their speed? Yes, it actually did work. Mega Wall was for cash prize, and the top 4 ran on a Ninja vs. Ninja course for the speed pass. That was all fun. And something I really do want to emphasize about the qualifiers and the semifinals is that these are 3-hour episodes, and they didn't feel like 3 hours. These were actually very condensed. The fluff pieces were pretty short. The profiles were more focused on the competition than like their lives. And so overall, this felt more competitive. This felt more fast-paced, and we got a lot more runs shown in full, mind you. Not this like mid-cut, fast-forward. It was in full. We had more runs from an episode of this than any other episode, singular, of any ninja show around the world. So for the editing, I give it props. Now, I do need to talk about the semifinals because their rules were like old school ANW rules. Only the top 35 in the semifinals would advance to the grand final, stage 1, plus the 5 speed pass winners, making the total 40 people. Spoilers coming up in the next bit. Because of this policy, there were about 20 athletes who cleared the course but did not clear it fast enough and got eliminated as a result. There was quite a bit of backlash. Some people aren't as huge of a fan of it, mainly because, there's now a policy, a rule where basically you hit the buzzer and you automatically qualify. That's how it's been for a while now. But personally, I kind of liked seeing this competitive rush to the buzzer. I liked seeing people make mistakes because they were moving too fast. I liked having the nail biters as people were climbing up the spider trap and only had about 5 seconds left to qualify. And that's saying something because the spider trap is a boring obstacle, and it was actually kind of nail-biting for me. The only underwhelming part of the semifinals was that last woman standing was determined by the end of the semifinals. That's right, no woman advanced to stage 1 for the first time in about 3 or 4 seasons on this show. It was absolutely nuts. However, that does add to the shock value, which even then, the semifinals surprised me a lot with some of these times, some of these results, and some of these failures. So overall, I really enjoyed the semifinals. Other people might not, and I totally get why, but at the same time, I loved how competitive it was, and that's what I was waiting for. A lot of ninja shows have competitive leaderboards towards the top. The top 2 on ANW get to go to the Power Tower, so it's really a race for those top 2 spots, but it's a race between like 5 people per group. You know what I mean? This was like 70 people all rushing to get up the buzzer, and if I'm not mistaken, like 50 of them cleared, and only 35 advanced, 55 of them cleared. A lot of them cleared. This was competitive all across the leaderboard, and it was so fun. And then we get to the grand final, stages 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is the simple format. Thankfully, Germany still does not do safety passes. Thank goodness. They had some interesting obstacle choices on stage 1, mainly the cliffhanger being the second to last obstacle on stage 1, and stage 1 had a 2-minute time limit. So it definitely felt tough, but at the same time, I kept thinking, this is a renewal tournament. We just had 2 people scale Midoriyama last season, Renee Castelli and Maurice Hans. So obviously they don't want that again. They're going to make the course harder. And this stage 1 was tougher. We went from having like 12 people on stage 3 last season to having 7 people on stage 2. So in my opinion, stage 1 was really well edited as well. It kept the pace going, and it did exactly what it needed to do. It cut down the field. Good enough numbers. You still had almost a fifth of the field survive, and at the same time, you also felt like this was tougher than before. And then they did stage 2. And that was stupid. Nobody failed stage 2 at all. And it was just really sad. It was just really, really sad because you had the potential to make this a very fun speed course before the upper body intensive stage 3. And they just didn't. And because you only had 7 runs there and then 7 runs on stage 3 for 3 hours, the editing really dragged. This is a show that can put about 40 to 45 runs in a single 3-hour period and make it feel entertaining. But then when you only give them 16 runs in the finale to work with for 3 hours, things start to drag. It's a third of the runs, so they triple the length that each player gets. And it was slow. It was a bad episode. Not to mention Stage 2's results were not good. The course was not that good. Stage 3's course was questionable. I wasn't a huge fan of Stage 3, but I was a fan of it in a way. I think there were some good ideas. I think Leaps of Faith as the final obstacle was a really good idea. I like the inverter as the second to last obstacle. I think that's a really good idea. The problem is, all of the obstacles leading up to that were not nearly pumpy enough to make people tired for things like the inverter or the Leaps of Faith. So, you know, basically if they failed, it was a technique problem, it was a technical issue, or they didn't fail it, and we had 2 clears. That's just my thoughts on Stage 3. It wasn't, like, bad, but it definitely could have been done better, and I think you definitely could have put tougher obstacles earlier on into Stage 3 that were still beatable. Like, I think you could throw a curved body prop in there. Curved body prop, totally beatable obstacle, still gonna gas your guys out, so by the time they get to the inverter or the Leaps of Faith, they're struggling. And that's what I was waiting for. 4 out of the 6 people who made it to Leaps of Faith mainly just failed the reverse grab because of a technical issue. They couldn't do the reverse grab physically, not because they were tired. And that's just my thing. I think they should have done a better job at wearing the competitors out, but it was still a decent Stage 3. Emphasis on decent. I wouldn't say good. And then the final stage, the 3 obstacle final. I love, 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 love that they added the final from Sasuke 32 to 38. It's one of my favorite finals. It's great. The attempts were subpar. Max Gorner gave it his absolute best, and I 100% applaud him. That was absolutely insane. Big ups. He fully deserved last man standing with that attempt. Moritans, what the fuck were you doing? It was clear to me that Max was trying to achieve Kanzen Seiha, and Moritz, he even said he was tired at the end. It was just clear that he was going for last man standing. And that was one of the worst, I wouldn't say the worst, but one of the worst final stage attempts of all time. So overall, I would say Ninja Warrior Germany had a really good season up until the finale, where it just kind of took a poop all over everything that it had set up. I think for a renewal tournament, it started off strong by changing things up in the right way with their qualifiers and semifinals, and also making Stage 1 tough enough to make the course feel way more intense than last season. Stages 2 and 3, however, I feel dropped the ball and could have done better, and the final stage was good. The attempts were not the best. What did you guys think of Ninja Warrior Germany Season 7? Comment below. And of course, be sure to check out in December my ranking of every Ninja Warrior show around the world. Where's Ninja Warrior Germany going to end up? Find out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.